Welcome to another edition of the Florida Chamber's Bottom Line. We're on location at the Capitol with David Hart, Executive Vice President of the Florida Chamber, and our very special guest, Speaker Designate Will Weatherford. Welcome, Representative. Let's get started. Welcome, gentlemen. Representative Weatherford, if we could get started with you. The Florida House is poised to pass a number of bills that are Florida Chamber-backed. Can you tell us a little bit about them and why they're important to Florida's economy?
Yeah, well, the first thing is we have a unique relationship with the Florida Chamber in that, in large part, it seems as if the Florida Chamber agenda is the Florida House agenda. If you look back to last year, over 30 proposals that the Florida Chamber sent out, I think we passed all of them except for one. And so there's a mission within the Florida House of Representatives to pass business-friendly policies. And so we're, in a sense, somewhat married to the Florida Chamber in that we are working together to create a place in Florida that is special when it comes to investing capital and creating jobs.
And David, if I may, we're looking at citizens' property insurance, space and defense, qualified tax credits, and legal reform. How important are these to Florida's businesses?
Well, those are four very important bills to our members. They asked us as Chamber staff to work on those with House and Senate leadership, and we're pretty excited that we're at the moment we're at. Those bills are on the floor today and tomorrow. And maybe we'll spend just a second on each of them. The Citizens Insurance Bill, we certainly need insurance reform. We need to make citizens really depopulated. It needs to be the insurer of last resort, not the insurer of first resort. So that's one that's clearly important and a step forward. Expert witness, you know, Will's been a great champion for tort reform. That bill will help improve Florida's legal climate. And so thank you, Will, for your leadership and others to move that one forward.
And anything on the space and defense?
Well, I think I could speak to that. I mean, on space and defense, we recognize for us to have a truly diversified economy, which is what we want to have, we've got to continue to invest in an industry that doesn't get talked about as much, which is the defense industry and the space industry. We're all familiar with what's happened with the shuttle program on the Space Coast. There is a need for new opportunities, new innovations to take place there. And the state, by creating incentives, is asking people to come and partner with us, and that's a good thing. But to go back to what David said in regard to citizens and also tort reform, it speaks to a broader theme, and that is predictability for the business environment. Businesses need predictability, and if they can't figure out if they're going to be sued today or tomorrow or next week, that's a problem. If they're worried that one storm could potentially create a tremendous assessment on every homeowner, every business, and every policy in the state of Florida, that's an unpredictable business climate. So whether you're talking about depopulating citizens and getting the state, for the most part, out of the insurance business, whether you're talking about in tort reform creating predictability and stability, all that goes towards creating this environment that is friendly, predictable, and stable.
And speaking about changes to strengthen, the ability for businesses to grow and thrive in the state of Florida, I know that businesses are facing an $817 million tax increase in unemployment taxes. How do you address something like that, and how important is it to the businesses while the economy is still trying to recover?
Well, I guess I'll take a crack at that one first. This is one of the biggest challenges we're facing that's not being talked about on a broader scale. And the reason for that is because people haven't gotten their tax bills in the mail. That will happen this March. If the legislature does not act, there will be an $800 million plus tax increase on every business in the state of Florida. To me, that's unacceptable. We do need to find a way to reform the unemployment system so that it is self-sustaining and we don't have to borrow money from the federal government. That's not a good position to be in. But to me, in this climate, in this environment, to allow an $800 million tax increase on our citizens to go through would be unconscionable. And so we are working right now with the Chamber of Commerce and many other groups to make sure that we have a policy that reflects the fact that Florida needs to be self-sustaining, but also recognizes that businesses cannot pay that tax increase. And so I think we're close to it. Been negotiating with Senator Gates, and I feel like we'll have a good policy and a good bill hopefully coming from the Senate within the next week or so.
What changes would you like to see?
Well, I just want to comment that this is such an important issue for our members that simply don't want to see an $817 million tax increase right now at a very soft time in our economy. And we owe a lot of credit to Will Weatherford and the leadership you showed. He brought together the stakeholders, including the Chamber and Senator Gates, and I think their leadership has what's shown us that there's a chance at getting a fix done this session.
And Representative Weatherford, one of your projects, interesting project, a virtual university. A little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I want to start a conversation about it. When you look at where we're going in higher education and frankly in education in general, we are in the middle of a technological and information revolution in this country and across the world. And so the question is Florida going to allow other states and other countries to lead, or are we going to be on the cutting edge? And only 25% of students are what we call traditional students that live on campus, have a dorm room, go to the football game, join a fraternity, whatever. Most students are non-traditional. They're looking for flexibility. They have a job. They're looking for an opportunity to make it a student-centered education system. So the idea is, if we know we need more degrees over the next 30 years, there's a shortfall with what we can produce and what the demand will be in the marketplace. The cheapest way to do it is to expand our online opportunities. And the platforms that exist are so exciting, so innovative, so student-centered. I think it's going to change the game for the way that Florida works and educates its students.
And gentlemen, with that, we just have a moment for the bottom line. What are we going to see out of this session? David, we'll start with you.
Well, I think we will see a budget approved on time. I think we'll wait and see what the Supreme Court does with the maps. There could be a time where they have to come back in a special session on the maps. But I think we will see much of the Florida Chamber's agenda move forward, and we're very grateful to Will's leadership for that.
And Representative, very quickly, bottom line?
Bottom line, I think you'll see a win for business. I think this year, again, the Florida Chamber, their agenda will be, at the end of the day, very successful. We have a great partnership, but this will be a win for business in this session.
Thank you both for being here, and to you, our viewers, thank you for watching, and we hope your bottom line is looking up.